bowl that I eat my meals in is literally this big. It's almost a foot across. It's a lot of food, and I'm satisfied. I don't have any cravings. There's never any desire for sugar, which, you know, a lot of people want to demonize sugar. They say, "Oh, it's the sugar that feeds cancer."
Hmm.
Well, there's that gets into a lot of detail, which I cover in my books, but there's a big difference between the white, refined, powdery stuff, sugar, table sugar, which is not good, but it does not cause all the problems that meat does, that animal products. Uh, it, it it impairs your immune system, and the oils too, and it just keeps you from being healthy. It clogs your circulation. You know, we have arteries. The main artery is the diameter like that, the aorta that runs up and down and supplies all the other blood vessels. And they get smaller and smaller and smaller until they're the size of the pinhead of a needle, that tiny. So you can imagine it does not take much to clog those. We call them capillaries in the US. I know other countries call them capillaries. How do you pronounce it?
I pronounce it as capillaries.
Okay. All right. In Canada, it's capillaries, but either
Okay.
way, and I think in Great Britain as well, either way, those capillaries are vital. If you have any numbness in your feet, it's peripheral artery disease. And if it gets bad enough, you have to amputate. And you see that happening. It happens in the kidneys, that these your kidneys are filters, and animal proteins clog the tiny filters in your kidneys. So we're in the US, we're finding that dialysis centers, you know, where the kidneys quit working and you'll die without your kidneys functioning properly. And they put you in a dialysis machine, and they this machine cleanses your blood. And that
Yeah,
is what a
Dr.
horrible. Sorry.
Excuse me. I'm sorry for interrupting you right now
Yep.
because there is a question coming up from one of the participants about the diet. Since you're talking about how animal protein is not so healthy, there is a question from one of the participants, Shakti Rani, who's asked, animal animal protein not mandatory for our body's protein needs? Because
Yeah.
of course meat, you mentioned about meat, but what about milk and eggs and dairy products?
Yeah.
And
Well,
for growing up children, is milk not essential? That's a very hot question. A few of our participants have asked the same question.
okay. Milk is a broad term, and what we normally mean by milk is the breast of mammals for their babies. So cow's milk is made for baby cows or calves. For humans, we have human breast milk. So by the time, and I am a strong advocate for breastfeeding babies. I breastfed both my kids until they were 2 years old, and they wean themselves and they start eating the same food that you do. So milk is essential for babies, but by the time you're 2, 3 years old, you should be weaned, and you don't need the mammary secretions from any animal, whether it's a goat milk or a rat's milk or a dog's milk or cow's milk. They're all the same. And that's, you get your calcium and all the other minerals from leafy greens, going back to how important leafy greens are. They have far more available calcium than cow's milk does. If you really want to drink milk, if you're addicted to it, then there are so many nut milks, or soy milk, oat milk. I have Back in 1982, there was really no choice. I just gave up dairy, and then that was it. Cheese tends to be addictive because it's got casomorphines in it, which is what gives that bonding experience of a nursing, whether it's a nursing calf or nursing human babies. So cheese is hard to give up for a lot of people, but you can do it. It's an addiction. In terms of animal protein, protein really is a blanket term meaning for amino acids. And there are 9 essential amino acids that we humans have to build muscle, bone, brain tissue, and blood vessels. And these essential amino acids are in every single plant. So that's where the essential protein comes from. Your body will take these, say, broccoli has all the essential amino acids you want, you need. And in digestion, it breaks up these amino acids and they circulate through the body. And your body knows which ones it needs to build new cells or whatever. And as an adult, you don't need that much. You know how hard it is to build new muscle? You really have to work hard at it. And
Yeah.
what's wrong with animal protein is the bodies can recognize these as a foreign protein. You know how it's impossible to do a heart transplant from one person to another, even with careful matching, you still have, if you do the transplant and you have the best match possible, you need to take anti-rejection drugs for the rest of your life because the body knows this is a foreign protein and it has this reaction against it. This is
Hmm.
what causes arthritis. You know how common
Oh,
arthritis is? So
okay.
yeah, it's another reason to not eat animal foods or anything from an animal. Eggs, talking about money driving advertising. Because they're starting to see the egg industry is seeing sales diminish as people are told eggs are not healthy. They are advertising saying, oh, you need the protein. Oh, it's nature's perfect protein or whatever.
Hmm.
And so that's the battle, the good versus the, the not so good. Here in the US on television, we have all these commercials for drugs. There are drugs for everything. And some of the most common drugs are statins to lower cholesterol. What makes high cholesterol? Meat. Meat, eggs, and dairy raises your cholesterol. So you need to take statins to lower them. Well, there are side effects from statins. Um, we talked about blood sugar, and so they're drugs that control your blood sugar. Side effects too. That's not the way to do it. High blood pressure. How many people are suffering from high blood pressure? Mine runs 90 over 60. And what they say ideal, it should not be over 120 over 80. And actually, the lower the better, the less stress on your arteries. And arteries, when they're stressed, can burst. And if it happens in the brain, that's a stroke. And I think everybody listening to this knows how deadly strokes can be. They may not kill you, but if you have one side of your body paralyzed or you can't talk because you're like this, that's preventable. Heart attacks are preventable, strokes are preventable, cancer is largely preventable. It's excess hormones for some of the most common, except for lung. That's due mostly to smoking. Although when I did the Ironman triathlon in Japan, I crossed the finish line just really triumphant. Ah, great. And so the reporters were all coming up to interview me. You know, this Caucasian woman in Japan with all these Japanese triathletes. And I'm waving the smoke. And I'm saying, how come all these young athletes are smoking? And the reporter says, oh, in Japan, everyone smokes. Well, this was a few years ago. I hope it's getting better. So when I got back, I told Dr. McDougall what happened. And how come the lung cancer rates in Japan aren't really high with all that smoking? And he says it's because of their diet. Their diet is rice and vegetables primarily. And that's enough to empower the immune system to fight off the cancer. Now that's changing. Again, that was in the 1980s. And as Japan has switched more and more they get their Kobe beef, and they think they need to have milk. And the U.S. after World War II imported cows to Japan because they thought they needed milk. So their heart attack rates have been going up. Their children are getting fatter and diabetic, and it's so clear what's happening. I say it's so clear. I wonder how come everybody else doesn't see this.
Yeah.
So
Okay. There are a few questions coming up, Ruth.
okay,
There is Ajay Singh who is asking about oils. He would like your opinion about avocado oil, coconut oil. Are they bad too for the health? Because oil is very essential for the normal functioning of the brain, and
yeah,
absence
yep,
of oil is it advisable to completely eliminate oil from the diet? What do you feel about
yeah. Bottom line, completely eliminate oils in their highly refined, highly processed form. Yes, coconut oil is fine. In a coconut, you get the right proportion of the oil. Instead of 100% oil, you get about 10% or 12%, along with all the other nutrients. The same with avocados. You don't want to refine the avocado, take a whole bushel of avocados, smash them down, and get a little bit of oil. Um, all plants have the right amount of oils, and these are the healthy fats, the omega 3s, which is what your brain needs. But it
it?
doesn't need a whole bunch of them. It just needs the nature's plan is perfect. It gives you roughly 10% calories of the good fats, 10% calories of the protein, the right amount of protein, and 80% of the carbohydrates, which is what gives you energy. Without carbohydrates, you can get a little bit of energy from protein and fat, but that's not the brain runs on glucose, which is your blood sugar. So yeah, you don't need oils. And in terms of cooking, again, my chef cookbook tells you how to prepare foods. I have not had a container of oil in my house for 36 years, and I sure don't miss it. My
Yeah.
oily skin disappeared, and my dandruff disappeared, and
Oh,
my adult acne disappeared. My arthritis disappeared, my constipation disappeared. Oh my gosh, within one day, I knew after changing to my low fat vegan diet, what a difference in so many different, it wasn't just the cancer. I had high cholesterol, which lowered. I didn't know I had high cholesterol. It was because of the cancer. They did the blood test, and Dr. McDougall said, with a cholesterol this high, you are at as high a risk of dying of a heart attack as you are the cancer. And
oh
I
my.
said, no, I run marathons. He said, no, your arteries are going to clog up. Your capillaries are clogging up. So that's, again, bottom line, 36 years without a single animal product or any oils. And I love it.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I think more and more people are finding out. We need to educate our doctors because in medical school they are not taught about nutrition. They think
Okay.
it comes the only nutrition you get in a hospital. A lot of the fast food companies provide the food for their patients, which is really bad. It ensures repeat business. If you you feed the food that makes them sick, they'll come back. You don't want to be a repeat patient. Yep.
So, Dr. Ruth, you explained a lot about diets, and you covered the ideal human diet. So, when it goes to exercise, can you tell us a little bit about the best exercise and easy exercise which we can do, and the best time to do these
Good.
exercise?
Yes. The best exercise is the one you'll do. Now, I love running. I enjoy going out the door and looking at nature. I love running in forests. I love running up mountains. I love running by streams. Um, even new areas. I love to run, and when I travel, that's the best way to see where you are and to appreciate your where you are. So that's I think the best exercise for me. There are people who say, "Oh, I can't run," or they hate it, and they don't think they'll ever be able to start loving it. Um, it might take a while for you to get fit enough, and your body will start craving some exercise. Like I look forward to my what I call my mini triathlon every morning. Besides a short run and a swim and a bike, I also lift weights 3 times a week. So I look forward to my exercise, but the one you'll do is the best one. And it can be dancing. You can do some really, really wild moves and jumping and what's that Irish jig dancing? My gosh, those people are really fit. So whatever you'll do and try different things. And in my books, I do talk about running, biking. A lot of cyclists swear by cycling. In fact, that's how the Ironman started. Runners said, "We're the fittest, we're the best exercise." And the cyclists said, "No, no, no, we're the best." And the swimmer said, "Oh, you're both wrong. Swimming's the best." So they said, "Okay, let's do head to head and see who wins." And that's how the triathlon started. And so I think it's the best, the combination of all. It's functional fitness. It's your, see my muscle right there. That's my from functional. And I'm 83 years old, so I think that's some evidence that it really works. Now, the
Yeah.
best time, I say also, this is in my books. The best time is in the morning because things happen if you put it off and emergency comes up, something happens with your kids or at work, and you think, "Oh gosh, I can't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow." And if you put it off and tomorrow and then tomorrow, and pretty soon you realize a whole week's gone by. So if you do it first thing in the morning, then it's done. You're charged up with energy for the rest of the day. And, and you get to the point where it's as much of a habit as brushing your teeth. And that's what I advocate for the best exercise and the best time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ruth. And now we are coming to the second half of the webinar where we will have an experiential session of heartfulness, relaxation, and meditation. So you did mention that you are an avid meditator earlier and how it is very essential for maintaining this good balance with your diet.
Sanity, sanity, and anti-anxiety and appreciation for it kind of builds love in your heart as you expand your awareness.
Thank you. Yeah. So, for all the participants who have joined us today, I'll take you through this simple relaxation technique. It is short commands you give yourself to relax your body and then slowly slip into this meditation by supposing the source of light in your heart and try to just go within your heart and observe the light in your heart. So, let's begin now, and here we go. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Let's begin from the toes. Relax your toes. Feel an energy rising up from the earth and it moves up your legs and relaxes your legs. Your legs are completely feeling relaxed now. Relax your hips. Move your attention up to your stomach, relaxing your stomach. Relax your back, your lower back, and slowly move up your upper back. Your whole back is completely relaxed now. Relax your chest, your shoulders. Slowly bring your attention to your arms, relaxing both your arms.